in server settings. So first you will highlight the camera that you want to adjust the settings on, and by doing, if you notice the top will be highlighted blue as the one we have clicked on. So then you will right click anywhere on the screen, go to properties. It's going to give you all the information about your camera. General is going to give you the manufacturer's model number, the IP address, the username, and the password. Now this down here is alternate IP ports. This is if you're going to use custom ports. You would check alternate ports and enter the alternate ports that you want to use. Please make sure to write down if you change these ports. Next is record. The resolution, you want to let the camera control the recording. Capture quality, let the camera control the settings. These are set to record on motion only. And the capture format is H.264, or you can do a lower quality MJPEG. Next we have the Advanced tab. The Advanced tab is going to tell you where the recording is going. As always, by default, it's going to go to see video and then the IP address of the camera. The default setting is what you see, maximum. Each recording is going to be 800 megs in size. When it reaches that size capacity, it'll be a new recording created. You can change it to delete. Default is $9.99. You can set it to how many ever days you want. Motion settings. This is where you will adjust the motion settings. You're going to have to edit this part. I don't know exactly where I stopped. So we are in the motion settings. By default, it's going to set it on the server side motion. You always want to change this to camera side motion because, take into consideration, if you have 20 cameras hooked up to a server, all of them set in server side motion, your system performance is going to be extremely high and you're going to have poor performance on your server. Setting camera side motion frees up a lot of your system resources. Event trigger is always set to 5%, sensitivity set to 85%. You can adjust this. It's, every situation is different. It's a case-by-case basis. Next is the video settings. Everything's going to be grayed out because we are letting the camera control all of the video settings. The image quality, color adjustment, RGB color adjustments. And if you see someone just walked through down there and we had motion, so it will trigger a red bar to show you it detected motion. Optional controls, this is where you can tell the system how the camera is mounted, on the wall, ceiling mount, or ground mount. And you can, if you do that, you can associate which camera you're telling it to do this. So actually the one we are in is mounted on the wall, and that is that one. So click apply. Privacy zone, this is where you can mask out certain areas of the image you do not want recorded. Say if this was in, a setting where over here would possibly be like the door to a restroom, you would mask that out for privacy. Maintenance, this is going to tell you everything else, just like if the installers put all this information in the firmware, the data was installed, when the warranty expires, contact information, again, would be Veilux. And you click apply. Okay, next we're going to cover server options. And you will click the Tools drop-down menu. You're going to go to Options. You're going to get a new pop-up window. Okay, this is the general information. By default, it's going to say Exit Confirmation. That means when you close the program, it's going to say, are you sure you want to exit? Block warning messages. Main window layout, show the server name, show the camera name. You can turn all of this off. Use DirectX display always needs to be checked, and you always want Direct 3D. Double click to expand cameras is default. Use tree navigation is turned off. Use PTZ zoom window when available, which is the controllers down here. Tools, this is going to get into where cycle time amounts. It's always set to 5 seconds for a standard camera and 10 seconds for a PTZ. You can enable a watermark. You can force motion JPEG format. This is always default. And you can set alarms where it'll launch an individual separate window to pop up over here if there's an event trigger. Live windows, all the options you can do with live window. By default, only live window is always on top is checked. Red outline live window is checked. Flash red on motion, and you can tell it'll flash for 20 seconds. You use the maintenance view, show associated cameras. And these are all the other menus you can set up. It's all, everyone's application is different. The audio tab, by default, none of the cameras we have record audio, so no audio is on. You can set it to make a beep if there's an alarm. And here's a beep for LPR cameras, license plate recognition cameras. Startup. This is where you can tell it how you want the Veilux IP Enterprise software to open. Default we have it set to is a 4-camera layout. Auto upgrade, as if a new version comes out, it will automatically update itself. Remember the auto login, we have ours turned on. So as soon as we double click the program, it automatically logs us in. By default, admin is the username and there is no password unless you set one. Then you have some other options, startup, and you can pause the video as soon as the program starts. Playback. Now we're going to go to playback. Pick the resolution. By default is 640 by 480. You can also bump it up to any of these resolutions supported for playback. These are the two default settings in playback. Show camera name when taking a snapshot. Show date when taking a snapshot. Performance. This is where you set how you want the server to run. By default, it's always going to be on the closer and the higher resolution side. Reduce display frame rate when there's no motion. This is always turned off. You can set this on to where, like right now, there's no motion, so the frame rate is going to drop down. Say if we turned it on, it would drop it down to 5 frames per second. Your video quality would not be as good as what it normally is set to. Like these are all set to 10 frames per second. Okay? That covers camera settings and server settings.